In this great session, you're going to get an opportunity to spend some time with Mark Davison, co-founder of 1000 Watt, one of the premier branding agencies in the real estate industry. And he's going to share his unique insight and perspective on marketing versus branding. If you haven't already, make sure that you sign up for the 1000 Watt newsletter called The Dose. Jump onto their website, get yourself subscribed. I love their newsletter. I read it word for word every single week, recommended to all my coaching clients. Their paid community is extraordinary. If you get a chance, jump in there. And I hope you enjoy this session. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button, give this a thumbs up. That just supports me and allows me to get more great people like Mark on this channel. All right, enjoy. Let me start here with this question. Okay.
Sure.
There's a big distinction between marketing, definitionally of marketing versus branding. And I started to become aware of how to define the difference between marketing and branding. And then I remember seeing an email from you guys from 1000 Watt where you guys actually pieced the two apart. A lot of my coaching clients or a lot of top agents that you'll deal with, that I'll deal with, they'll all say the same thing to me. I want to really build my brand, and I want people to call me. I want people to recognize me as a successful real estate agent. And so just to get our heads in the right place, I love when I hear you talking about kind of these distinctions between branding versus marketing. And then a lot of people confuse also logo with this conversation as well. If there was anything to share in your insight between the differences between marketing, advertising versus branding, would be fun. A good place to start, because I know this is a big topic for you.
So this is an important topic because marketing and branding, it's not just some creative endeavor. It is really a key business strategy. Brand at the highest level, you go to the Coca-Cola, Apple, Microsoft, any brand you want, any company you want to think of, brand resides at the very top of these corporate worlds as one of the most critical business strategies that they have to deploy. So it's not just some fun topic that we can be creative around. Really has to be strategic. It's just become more fluid than it should be, because to build a personal brand, it's virtually impossible unless you are a huge celebrity. And even within the realm of huge celebrity, there's only a few that actually are a personal brand. If you take U2 as an example, arguably Bono is a brand, but The Edge is not a brand. Adam Clayton's not a brand. Larry Mullen Jr. are not a brand, but yet they're hugely famous and we all know them, but they're not brands.
Right.
The lead singer, Coldplay, is not a brand. Taylor Swift is a brand. So what is happening here?
Yeah, interesting distinction. So in terms of the difference between personal brand versus a name brand. And I think that's one of the big challenges that I find with a lot of real estate agents. And so for a real estate agent, they go around and around, right? John Bathurst wants to build Bathurst Group, or should it just be John Bathurst? Right.
It's a micro detail that almost doesn't.
Okay. Yeah. You just made me think about that, because I'm always like, I don't have the right answer for people on this question. Should we be creating content underneath the brand identity Bathurst Group, but it's really John Bathurst? So what do we do?
I'm going to clear that up, Patrick.
Thank you.
It doesn't matter, because JP Morgan is somebody's name. Westinghouse is somebody's name. You can build, but it's not a personal brand. JP Morgan is not a personal brand. It's a brand. You can name a brand whatever you want. Frankly, if you guys think about almost every luxury brand, they're named after an individual. But they're not personal brands. Gucci is not a personal brand. Nobody here knows who Gucci is or what Gucci does or what hobbies Gucci has, or we don't see pictures of Gucci on the beach in the summer, like sunning themselves. It's a brand. Personal brand, like I said, has become a little bit too fluid. It gets used in the wrong way. And I'm going to tell you exactly why. Because the key, and you asked this early on, so I'll answer this, I'll address this right away. The difference between marketing and branding is marketing is the thing you do to bring awareness of a product or a service that is for sale. So you're marketing services and products. And marketing always looks like it has a direct response component to it. Buy now, learn more, download this. That's marketing. Branding is the activity that you undergo. It could be messaging. It could be marketing. There's brand marketing. It could be activation that gets people to believe in the marketing. It generates a feeling. Marketing is very functional. Here's a shoe. It's on sale. Buy it now. The branding is, if you wear this shoe, you're going to be the greatest athlete in the world. That's branding.
Mhm.
And the key component that I need everybody to really embrace, because this is science and it's worked forever, is that branding works when it tells the customer story. When I can see
Mhm.
myself within the story you're telling. If you think about the car you drive, clothes you wear, the sports equipment you use, whatever, you're likely gravitating toward it because somewhere along the way, you're identifying with it. And because otherwise, I've always joked, like, why would anybody, and I've owned these, but why would anybody own a Range Rover? They're really expensive. They break down all the time and they're so expensive to fix. The reason why we buy it is because when we're sitting behind that wheel driving it or pulling up to the parking space the safe way and get out, we feel something about ourselves looking back at the car we just arrived in. That is branding. Building a personal brand would mean that somehow through the way you're expressing yourself, I can see that I see myself in you. I self-identify. And you can't do that when you make all your marketing about you.
Mm.
So like, it doesn't matter if your URL is patrickferry.com or not. It could be anything. Where it gets more focused is in your marketing and messaging. If you're a personal brand, you're being taught to make it all about you. You become the hero in the hero journey. Joseph Campbell wrote about the hero's journey,
Right.
which is a storytelling construct that's been used worldwide and forever and ever, which depicts a hero in all of the storytelling. You see yourself in that hero's journey. Whatever. If any of you watched the Super Bowl and you saw the Kia commercial of the girl skating on the ice and the father sitting in the stands and next
Yeah,
to the
that was good. Yeah.
okay, that story arc of the father looking at the empty seat, watching his daughter, then taking the daughter in a car and driving all the way up to this icy, snowy place in the North Pole where his father was living. And then he's the hero. He did it, but it wasn't about Kia. It was a story about a dad who
Yes.
cares, his father who cares and loves his daughter. He became the hero. Why? Because he's the customer.
Right.
He's the person who's going to go buy a Kia. It wasn't a commercial about how great Kia is and how many cars Kia has sold and what Kia does on vacation. It was a story about that's branding.
Yeah.
Everything else that you're doing to market yourself is marketing. And if all you're doing is marketing, you can't really build a personal brand or brand.
Yeah.
So you need to be branding, and branding is the act of storytelling that makes the customer see their future, their better version of themselves, their journey in what you do.
Yeah.
Pardon this interruption with Mark. I know this is a good one. Real quick, hey, check out the description down below. My affiliate links really support me as a full-time coach to continue to drive great content back to you. If you want to talk to Tom Ferry about getting a coach, please book an appointment with Austin down below. Or if you're looking to hire a virtual assistant, talk to Michelle down below, right? If you want more great prospecting numbers at the best cost, check out Landvoice, or one of my favorite tools, Property Radar for homeowner data, or the website CRM that I recommend with CR Interactive. Using those links really just supports me to be a full-time coach and to provide great resources to you guys. So appreciate you doing that. And of course, if you haven't subscribed to my newsletter, make sure you jump on there so I can keep you up to date on all great stuff. Back to the episode. Thanks so much.
I'd say in a world where every single realtor is out there trying to build their reputation,
Right.
to build their notoriety and to build their celebrity. I'm not saying to not do that. I think all brands do that. Harley Davidson is they're one of the greatest brands ever in the world because people literally will like tattoo the Harley Davidson logo on their skin. Okay, that's intense because they self-identify with the brand. But even Harley Davidson will at times market like how good their bike is or a sale. You can do that, but if that's all you do and you're not branding, what you're doing is you're just making yourself, you think you're making yourself more known, but in a sea of personalities, in a marketplace where there's hundreds of thousands of agents, all Instagramming and TikToking themselves, people aren't tracking with you because you're not releasing the frequency that gets me to go, wow, that I see myself in that.
Yeah.
I can give lots of examples of what a realtor could do to depict a hero's journey in some of their marketing to trigger branding. And the last thing I want to say on it is try to build a brand. Building a personal brand is so massively impossible in real estate for one other reason, Patrick, which is every brand is associated to something other than the thing that they do. Nike isn't a brand because it makes sneakers. Nike represents something else. Porsche represents something else. If all you're doing is representing the thing you do, which is real estate and market trends and just listed, just sold, your association is just to real estate, which makes you like every other real estate entity whose association is to real estate. To create the brand, you have to literally become thought of as something up. I mentioned Bono early on. Bono's the brand because he represents, I don't know, he's so involved in like world politics and world
Yes,
affairs.
exactly. Yeah.
Or like, so you
Yeah.
associate him to that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense on what you're help me because one of the things that I talk about in building a personal brand, which, and I know I'm violating all of your rules, but I love how you just construct that, but just correct me on my statement of what I say. When I talk to agents, and I don't do a lot of social media training, I'm much more on the content marketing side. How do I help you to leverage unique expertise and to help, and also defining services? For me as a coach, what I've realized is real estate agents are horrible at actually defining the services that they have, and then you really articulating those services in a way that are very approachable for people. I commonly refer to as that everybody has real estate Tourette's. Buy now, call me, list,
Yeah,
sell now,
yeah,
tomorrow,
yeah.
buy now, ready. Are you ready? Are you ready? I call it real estate Tourette's versus being able to articulate, hey, please take advantage of these services that I have. Here's some of the unique things that we're providing to homeowners or buyers. Here's some problems that you might run into, and here's ways that I can help you solve those problems. And to do that at the very beginning stages of their journey, right? I talk a lot about customer journey. I talk a lot about different types of buyers and seller clients. And so I put a lot of a focus and attention with these guys on kind of creating content and content marketing to meet people and then to provide good services and to meet people out on the journey, just the basic kind of direct response marketing stuff. But before I go there, I just want to please clarify this branding conversation and then maybe get an example. Okay. But so someone comes to me and says, hey, Pat, I was working with one of my clients is Vayna May, 22 years old, rock star, 600,000 followers on TikTok. And she really does have a pretty strong brand, personal brand. And the brands are on a couple topics. People know her as that young rock star real estate agent, right? Real estate agent under 20, right? She built this big audience underneath that one topic. Then we started adding a new topic in real estate investing. Cause I was like, and so we started young real estate investor, and she's doing wholesales and doing this, and she's building a really strong following and audience on this next topic, real estate investing. And then so we pieced apart, I would say, hey, let's take a look at what are the topics that you're passionate about and that are public topics. I have a lot of people who are scared to share on social media, but I just roll back and I go, well, what's something that you're passionate about that's a public topic? Because usually your passion and your public topic, there's a big audience on the other side of that. And if my job as your coach is to help you to expand your audience of people who know you and or in your tribe or vibe or whatever, and then we can then create marketing for services that those people that are connected with you on those passion topics, they can take advantage of your services as a real estate agent. So then I ask people like, what are your 4 or 5 main public topics that you're actually passionate about? And let's identify those, and then let's roll those into your social media and build a little bit more audience on those topics. So that's roughly the way that I explain it to try and give it a little bit of some framework. Is there anything that can make that way better, or am I on track, off track? What's your thoughts and opinions about that?
I don't think you're off track. I think there's a lot of pressure on real estate people to utilize all these different social medias to do things like this.
Yeah.
Which, like, I don't do any of that. I built a business, a really good business. I think Thousand Watt likely has reached brand status, which is great. I'm a co-founder and I'm not a brand. And I've not done any social media at all. I don't think it's right for me. It's not my expression. Very few people know anything about me outside of what I do for a living. My
Mhm.
personal life, my hobbies are my hobbies. If you know me intimately, maybe I've shared some things with you. And I think that there is another way to build a very strong business without that very arduous journey of just trying to build this brand thing through sharing. But the advice is sound. If an agent is predisposed to wanting to share things they're passionate about outside of real estate, they should, but there is a caveat, which is, and I ask this question all the time, in a world where service people, professional service people, which include real estate agents, doctors, lawyers, priests and rabbis and other people, therapists, and like, why are realtors the only profession being taught to expose themselves this way through social media? I find it to be an anomaly and I don't understand it.
I don't, I don't either.
I don't
I,
really understand it.
yeah,
In most cases, Patrick, it hurts the agent. In my group, and we'll talk about that at some point, but in the thousand, we have a membership community.
yes,
And it's where I think smarter, more aware agents that are trying to be better and really get it conversing. And somebody posted a video of an agent. I don't know where this agent practices, but it was an agent video where he began by, it was a lifting video where he referred to the house as the MFing house. And it was 60 seconds of utter profanity as he walked through the house. And there was commentary around that. And that's really the other side of this. If you don't really manage your content and manage that social marketing and really manage the things you're passionate about with brand level militancy, meaning, because this is the other side of branding too, like brands are brands because everything that they put out into the world is highly curated and heavily managed. And the brand has guardians within the organization
yeah,
that
yeah.
make sure that everything that goes out is stitched with consistency and continuity. This agent was just like going off the rails. And I've seen more of that, not necessarily profanity, but just agents doing things on social media that don't say to the world what the world really needs. Is that's a good agent,
Right. Yeah,
or that reliable agent, or that's an agent that really cares about me. So I think there is your advice to sound, obviously with that one person who has built this massive following. I just think if you're going to go ahead and do that, you need to, maybe there's one more element to this, is what you're passionate about or what the marketplace is interested in. It's an important exercise to sit down and map out who your primary and secondary customer is. It's not everybody. Who is it? I think the Tom Ferry organization knows exactly who their primary customer is. When I show up in Dallas, which I thank you guys, every year you just invite me to show up, and sometimes you put me on a stage, and sometimes I love being in the audience and just taking it all in. There's a common theme. Everybody in there is a tribe. You radiate something that attracts a certain type of person. I think it's really important that agents think about who the primary and secondary are. Where do they shop? What do they do? How do they think? What are their ideas?
Mm.
And build a framework around that. When you're out there, it's even in the language you use, the tone and voice and the content you're creating is triggering awareness among the audience that goes, "What, that person is speaking my language."
right. Yes,
What you were talking about defining services. I think that's important to define services. Most of the world does not know what a realtor does.
correct.
And the recent lawsuits and court cases and fast jury verdicts
Right.
is really indicative of no one knows what you do.
Right.
I just don't understand why when I go to a realtor's website, I can search for a home, which I don't need, but I can't see a list of what they actually provide.
Correct.
Good job. But more importantly, and this is a trick I want to give you guys, is what you provide as a service is a functional benefit, a rational benefit. But there's the other side of that, which is the emotional payoff. What do I get? What is my journey of success? What is my better world as a customer? What is in it for me? What is the ultimate value payoff through whatever it is? So when you're marketing and messaging, if it doesn't include the better world reality for me, the end of my journey, then it's missing the key component.
Once I started to sell houses and I left training and coaching and I sold houses and I was out there in the field with buyers and sellers, I started to see where they responded to knowledge, expertise, wisdom, tactics, and strategies that improved their experience, like measurably improved their experience. Then I started to notice when I applied certain ways of doing the business that the outcome for them was extraordinary. And I started to see the relationship between knowledge, expertise, strategy, tactic, process, and systems that I was developing and the outcome that they were getting from that. And then I also noticed when I created additional stress, I created anxiety, I created outcomes that were unpleasing to the customer. And then when I reflect back, what was it that created that outcome? If I'm going to take full responsibility, that's when I also noticed there are some serious consequences to the lack of some of these tactics, strategies, ways of being, communication techniques, etc.
Somebody mentioned story brand framework from Donald Miller. Absolutely. That is age old. Donald just simplified it, but that is the framework, is the hero's journey. Yes, you're right. That is exactly what that is about. An example. And this is what you're getting at. Give me some examples. How does it work? How many of you Send a market report as a piece of marketing out to your customer base, everybody. And I would guess that on the market report, there's your brand, your picture, and a bunch of charts and graphs that say average price sold, median price sold, number of homes closed, blah, 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 blah. That's the problem.
Mhm.
Because you are not only not solving a problem that people have, because no one cares about that. This is just what real estate has told you to do. There's an industry. An industry is interested in feeding itself. It sells you things. But the average customer, most customers don't care about any of that information. But even more importantly, and I know because my company does every single month for years, we've been doing customer research and asking people about how they think about everything in real estate. That information actually creates stress and anxiety. If you look at a chart and a graph, it's like an EKG. It's just up and down. You don't know what to make of it. Most of your customers are not in real estate. They don't understand how to read data. They don't know what a median price, average price. They don't know what any of it means. And they don't know if 300 homes sold last quarter. They don't know what that means for them. Here's how you spin it. Instead of your logo and your face on the marketing, and marketing shouldn't always be so easy and so push button. Good things come as a result of harder endeavors. If you're sending it to me, it should have my picture. It should have my address on it. And it should say, there should be a note that says, hey, Mark, I'm going to attach last quarter's market trends, but here's what you need to know. And here's what you need to know that affects you personally. Because of the movement in the market, your home is now worth 2% more than it was last quarter. Yay, you. So if you're thinking of selling, here's what you need to know. If you're thinking of buying, here's what you need to know. That is Donald Miller. That is everybody before Donald Miller sharing through your marketing, through branding, the hero's journey. By sharing that sensitivity, which makes it a little bit harder. If you've got all these clients, sure, you have to do it. You have to figure out how to better personalize it. But this also can be applied to everything you market. Just listed, just sold. Every one of these things don't communicate realities to people. Sure, people may be interested home across the street there just sold, but what does that mean for me? How do I interpret that in a way that I can relate to it personally or just list it? I think that there is and there's only so much time I have to really break these down individually, but through everything a realtor does that's marketing, there could be a brand element infused in it, which spins it to where you're now telling me something that I'm interested in because I'm interested in me, not interested in you. I'm not interested in them. I need to know how this makes my life smarter, better, more efficient, or more successful.
At the tactical level, telling stories of the kind of case studies, how their client's success, is that it just at the basic level?
100%. Yeah, like why? I don't know why, because I never got this. Why an agent doesn't send me a quarterly newsletter that said, "Hey, Mark, the home I sold you, 6 months ago, here's what it's worth now."
Right.
That's it. Because people care about their own equity.
Right.
We all or the Zillow and there's estimates. Zillow was wrong. Zillow was wrong. Zillow was wrong.
Yeah,
Only wrong because you are not creating the right. So, but there's no product. The industry has not developed a product for real estate. So we're all like wired to we'll only do whatever there's a product for me to do. I want to break that too, because if you're trying to be a brand, forget the industry doesn't care about you. The industry only cares about itself.
Yes.
So you have to take stock of your business, take stock of your clientele, and start to think about, and I've said this, I think, at a time for even the local coffee shop that you guys go to in the morning to get coffee at Starbucks. They're not a brand. They're just a local coffee shop that has good coffee that you like going there. And it only cares. Its higher focus is to get the best coffee and to be the best little coffee shop it can be for your neighborhood. It doesn't care about the coffee industry. It doesn't worry about what the coffee industry does what its community needs. And I think if we could all just take a step back and think about our clientele, who do we market to? Who's our primary? Is our primary young millennial buyers? Is older boomers that are thinking about selling? Like, just do things that is right for them. And if you can't, it's hard to figure it all out yourself. You need some outside expertise to probably help loosen some ideas.
That's where I think when I hear what you say, that's where for me, and correct me if I'm wrong, that's where I believe real content marketing kicks in. It's like speaking into the big questions on their mind, speaking into if you're a baby boomer and you're sitting in Southern California and you're in a 2-story and you're wondering what the hell's going on and what should you do? And your kids are all over the world. Like, how do you meet them there in that conversation and add some value and let them know that you're someone that has experience with speaking to people at that level and helping them through some of those challenges, right?
Yeah.
And to me, that's where like the content marketing, I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like the industry absolutely sucks at content marketing. And then I've been studying a lot of like kind of SEO, basic SEO tactics. And I'm like, this is a great opportunity. If I can get all of them better at real quality content marketing, serving the customer where they're at and engaging them through their content and leveraging some of the basics of SEO, since it's completely missing in the industry, this is a great fucking opportunity. Is that an accurate statement?
Yeah, very much. Built 1,000 watt on content. But I did
Right.
one, I wrote writing because we're a writing aid. We write, we design. So writing is a skill set. So started blogging in 2000. I started writing in 2001, publishing on Inman. I had a platform at Inman because I was Inman's brand agency, helping to
Mhm.
build that way back. So I was able to write and publish on Inman. But when I started 1,000 watt, we began to blog. And I basically blog about one thing. I blog about branding and marketing. I blog about what I know. And so I don't go off the rails and blog. So this is like your editorial. I think this is important. You're all taught. And I respect Tom for this too. He's really trying to turn a lot of his disciples into content marketing machines.
Mhm.
And if you can keep up with that pace, go for it. But I also think less is more. I also think you don't have to produce X number of videos a day and
Right.
publish X number of socials a day. If you can, great. But there is a saturation point to the world. I have unfollowed people because they're just in my feed too much. It's just too much. I don't tell my wife I love her every 10 seconds. It would just get old. Show up once in a while when you got something good, when you got something of value. That's actually more special. And then back to the whole, Patrick, back to the whole, who's your customer? What do they need to know? What are you the expert in? There's an exercise that we do at Thousand Well when we work with a client, one of many, which is like, what is your first, best, only, or most? What were you first at? What are you best at? What are the only one that do? Or what do you do the most and no one else does? And let's find what that is and focus you on that. So your content should really be like, if you are a waterfront, oceanfront real estate, all your content should just be on that. And you should never focus on anything else, not even your personal life and your hobbies, unless it's waterfront related. Stick to the theme.
My only problem, what I find with that, with what you just said, is most agents, they don't have the patience enough or the interest enough to get into the details. A simple example of that is I was on a kind of a quasi listing opportunity for an oceanfront property, roughly about 12 million bucks. It's a builder developer. And he asked me a question and I didn't have the answer. And the question is for an oceanfront property like this, how do you articulate the price per square foot difference between the property across the street? And if I was really an expert in oceanfront, I would have already known that answer. And I probably would have used that answer in my marketing as part of my, blog and vlog. I would have been able to articulate that answer. I didn't have the answer and I didn't get it. And so that's the level of it. So people, but I find too many people when they're like, content, let me just post another photo of an oceanfront house. And is that all that there is to this?
Like, where do I get all my content from? It comes from every conversation I have. So I'll tell you about my day. I do one of three things. I'm either responding to email, which I spend a lot of time in the morning and at night dealing with, or I am on Zoom meetings with my creative teams, looking at the work that they're putting out to make sure that it is as good as it can be for the client, or I'm talking to clients. And when I am talking to clients, every question that they ask me becomes in my notebook here, I just track every single question. And that becomes, if they have that, they're a client of mine, which means they're in my world. We're tracking along the same thing. Whatever question they ask me is likely a question some other audience member of mine will likely have. You're in a car with a client. You're on the Zoom with a client. You are with clients. Every question they ask, think about, I bet you that's questions other people like them would ask. That becomes your content.
Yeah.
There is
This was this book, the They Ask You Answer book.
Oh, yeah.
That was the main assignment was, what are the top 50 questions that your customers ask, and start answering them and then put it into your blogs and build a website.
Okay, wrong. I was on a meeting yesterday with a group of clients, and they were complaining about how is their story is not being told, but their competitors are telling their story for them. It's a brokerage. So I said, I don't, you're all. I just listened to you for 15 minutes complain about how your story's not being told. Why aren't you telling your story? And so I went to their website. And I shared my screen. I go, look, here's your website. I'm landed on it. It's just got an IDX search in the primary hero image of the website. There's no story. There's no words. There's nothing. We do this, we do that. Why not? And here was his answer. I don't know. It began with, I don't know. And it was followed up with, well, we follow all the Real Trends reports and look at all of the top brokers in America, and we study all their websites and we see what they do. So we figure if they're in the top list, we're just going to copy what they do. And as I'm hearing it, I'm literally writing it down, what he's saying. And that became a post. And what I heard, what I said, it just became content for me. It's the problem. Everybody's doing the same thing. They're all following each other because some media company is creating a report that tells you what you should be doing. And that my story isn't being told is something I hear day in, day out. So you look for consistent questions that more than one person ask. And that is also, I do want to say that when I started, blogging was a big thing. Blogging is not really a big thing anymore. People like audio, like a pod. You could do a 5-minute podcast and just create content. And I know Tom talks about this. You could do a Q&A thing, do a podcast on a topic, create a podcast channel, release it out into the world. People spend 5-10 minutes listening to a topic. That's come like today's new blog post. Yeah. It's a good strategy.
I've been telling everybody to join the community, then we'll shut it down.
You know, you go to my website, 1000watt.net. There's a free, really creative newsletter. We send that every week. You just get a dose. It's called The Dose. Great inspiration. We have a community. We have a branding and marketing summit in Dallas in June.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It is solely focused. Ann Handley is going to be one of the keynote speakers. This is where you come to really get this in. We're going to do workshops. We're going to dive deep, and you're going to leave with strategies that will change the way you market and brand your businesses. So I invite you to come.
Thank you, Mark, for your time. And thank you guys, everybody, for your questions. See ya.